All right, there we go. How did the homework end up going yesterday? Seemed like it went okay during class.
Pretty good.
I tried and it wasn't
Okay,
so I figured I'd learn more today than to try again.
all right, that works. And then 100, honestly, for this topic, that absolutely will be true. Because we're doing the exact same topic, it just gets a little bit harder each time. So if you get the harder one, the easier ones will be quite a bit easier. I definitely talked about these yesterday. We just didn't have an example that we did together. So it's entirely possible that I didn't even look, but did anybody try going ahead in the homework? Not that you needed to in any which way, because you've got Monday and Tuesday to work on all of it. So because otherwise Monday, Tuesday, to be blatantly honest, is going to be a super long class for you if you just kind of sit here. So yeah, and if that's what you prefer, go for it. That's the only reason I just telling you ahead of time is because if you want to save your work until then, go for it. So today we're gonna do the volume again, but we're just gonna rotate it around a different axis. Now, the good thing, the way I presented it yesterday, is this is going to be the exact same process. Zero difference. Oh, I like how I'm trying to look at that screen, but I have it right here. Oh, that doesn't even fit on the screen at all. Let's figure this out. Oh, that's the whole thing. Okay. So you're most likely going to see a lot of duplicate pictures. And that's the way it works in the homework too. I mean, like, they're going to end up reusing a lot of the same pictures. The difference is just which way you rotate it. Like this one picture could be used for all 4 separate types of problems you're going to have. It could be used to rotate around the y-axis, which would be like yesterday, because this shape sits directly on the y-axis. I suppose I can draw on there. So if we rotate it around this axis, then this would be the axis of revolution. That was a really bad one. But since our object is sitting directly around what it's being rotated on, it's going to be called the disk method. And you would just have a radius going like that. Now today, moves on this slightly, and we're still going to rotate it around a line that it sits directly on. So today we're going to rotate it around y=4. And a lot of the pictures, you'll see the red line is the axis of rotation. But the reason I bring this up about reusing the pictures is don't get too ingrained into just looking at the picture without reading the info, because I have seen quite a few of the homework problems where they have the wrong line colored to be the axis of revolution. So go by the wording. You can just double check the picture's correct, but they're not all correct. So so this one, our shape still sits directly on the axis of revolution. There's no space between it. So our radius is going to be perpendicular from the axis of revolution. And I don't believe I phrased it that way yesterday at all. I think yesterday I just kind of showed the radius from a three-dimensional picture. Your radius will always be perpendicular from the axis of revolution. Now, our radius for this problem has a top and a bottom. And if we're trying to find the length of this line, we still follow the same process. The top of this line, like this is obviously supposed to be a bunch of different radii, you know, all over the place. But the tops of the radius never change. The height is always y=4. The bottom of the radius does change depending on where you are. So because it does change, it's an equation. It's got variables in it. And then the bottom of our line is y equals x squared. So the length of our radius is going to be top minus bottom. So it doesn't matter how the picture is situated. If you're trying to measure the length of a line, top minus bottom always will work. And the reason we do it that order is so the answer is positive. Like if we did x squared minus 4, we'd get the exact same answer, which is negative. So if your answer is negative when you're done, generally that's what you did. You did them backwards. Now, if this is rotated, we would still get the circle shape. And our goal is kind of still the same. Integrate the area of the cross section. This is the same for all of test 8B, every single question. The cross section is what's different every time. So this one is a circle. So pi r squared. And then this is our radius. Now, I think I did this yesterday. The numbers that we put on the integral come from the picture, or I guess there were equations for solving if you need to. I don't think I've seen one of these without a picture though. Because they're hard enough to visualize on your own that they generally don't, you generally have a picture of some sort. So your bounds will always kind of mimic your radius. So our bounds go from x equals 0 to x equals 2. That's generally the number one mistake I'll run into, is somebody will write 0 to 4 on accident. How are we at the setup of this? Like I said, the reason I tried presenting it to you yesterday, like I did, was because when we do top minus bottom, no matter how it's shown, it's the exact same. You guys feel like you could try one on your own probably already? Let's see if you can write the setup for this one. Obviously, I don't have to. So this is the x-axis. It's kind of misleading looking at the picture. This is x equals -1, I think, or y equals -1. Yeah. Just see if you can come up with the equation that would give you the correct answer. I mean, my normal philosophy would be having us practice a lot of these integrals. But we just don't have time this year, so I don't like that part of it, but I'm also, kind of making up tests like that too. Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, yeah, sorry.
So when we go top minus bottom, but this one's rotating around the right one,
Mhm.
would we want to go bottom minus top?
Mhm.
Just change it.
Mhm. No, it's, so honestly, that's why I try to phrase it top minus bottom, because whether the numbers are positive or negative, that is still the correct order. It seems to. But, so like when you subtract a negative number, you end up adding onto it. So it ends up working.
Maybe I should draw.
Kevin, I think you were last today? No, I can't remember.
I was last. Yesterday.
No. Into the room.
Oh, yeah.
Excellent. You think you could go up there and draw the radius?
Yeah.
And if you need our emotional support team, they're probably ready and willing.
Working on standby.
Yes, always on standby. It's like a 24/7 service. So drawing the radius, keep going. Drawing the radius is generally the first thing I'd recommend you do, just because it'll help you set things up. Yeah, good. Okay, so the red line on the bottom is the axis of revolution. So your radius is going to be perpendicular to it. Is anybody having trouble figuring out how far to draw the radius or anything like that? I don't know, maybe just figured I'd check. So the radius will always be drawn from the axis of revolution to the outside of your shape. And I'm phrasing it that way because the second half of the hour today, you need to know that. Okay. Kevin, just go with the number. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm counting different today, so you guys don't try to plan this. Ready? What do you think we're going to do next?
After we got the radius.
Well, we don't have the radius, we just drew it. But,
Find the radius.
okay,
Trying to explain it.
yeah, I'd love it if you even drew it up there if you could. If you don't want to explain it, you don't have to. Okay, usually the explaining part is the part that most students don't like to do, especially if they're up at the board, because it feels like 10 times harder.
The radius of negative point should equal this y
Okay,
plus 1 because it's 1 under the thing.
okay, so +1 comes from subtracting -1. Yep.
So our radius should be before we you're ready to do all the stuff. X just x squared. And then what I got in the.
Yes, yep. See, it becomes a lot harder when you try to explain it to the board. Is that a pie?
Yeah.
What are you doing?
You want me to rewrite it?
Oh, my goodness. My handwriting is bad, but that was,
Your handwriting is a lot.
It is.
no, that's a good pie symbol. You're not wrong. Is anybody confused what he wrote? Do you want me to explain it?
Shouldn't it be 0 to 2?
Oh, I know, I can't read the numbers. Okay, good. Oh, I keep trying to like stare over there, but forgetting it's right here on my computer. Yeah, so it would have been okay for you to write x to the 4th. X squared is definitely how most people are probably going to write it first. Yes, 0 to 2 because it's x equals 0 to x equals 2, and they kind of even said that in the problem. That's really all there is to it. If anybody would like me to write it or write it as x squared minus 1 minus -1, you 100% can/should. On your test, don't skip that step. Because that first step is generally where I grade everything from. Because that tells me you know where information's coming from. I generally will know what you're trying to do, but I don't usually try to assume that you know what's going on. Like, honestly, that's one of the reasons I like multi-page tests, because then I can't see whose test I'm correcting. Like, I don't want to have some sort of a, I'll call it a bias. I don't want to have a bias thinking, well, this person knows what they're doing. So try not to skip steps that show that. Now, it's totally good with me if you skip steps on simplification, but usually not the first step. How are we on what's up there? Does somebody want me to explain any part of it or erase it and rewrite it? Yes.
Because there's that x squared up front.
I think he was just doing scratch work to himself in his head.
Yeah,
Yep.
squared out front is.
Yeah.
Right now. I'm great.
Yep. So before he wrote the integral, he started explaining how the top of the radius minus the bottom of the radius
Yeah,
would be x squared minus 1 minus -1.
Yeah.
And then the ones would cancel.
gotcha.
So x squared ends up being the length of the radius. I think I saw a flash for, come on. Well, when I present it, it makes everything tiny.
Isn't always rotated clockwise.
I don't, it wouldn't really I mean, it wouldn't matter. It's hard for me to even say clockwise because that's not even the right orientation, I guess. Like if we were, no, I'll just say no. It doesn't matter which way it's rotated. All it matters is that it's rotated once fully so that it's a solid. Because you're going to start getting the same question with different orientations and or 3 dimensions. So clockwise becomes a difficult. Guess I never really thought about that. Actually, when you start doing parametric equations, that's when they start introducing time as well as X and Y's. And in that case, it probably would matter, but it would be described to you in the equations on how it's rotating. I realize that was way more of an answer than you're looking for. It just got me thinking. Okay, should I put another one up? And then I kind of feel like if you guys are able to get the next one on your own, you're probably good on this topic. I don't know. I could be totally wrong. I don't want to go too fast. How are you guys? You guys are giving 0 feedback. I'm giving a lot. I'm seeing a lot of dead stares.
2 out of 5.
Oh, okay. 0 to 5. How well are you feeling on this topic currently? Oh, so should I just straight go on to the harder topic? Like, should I be done with this one? Go for it.
What was the final answer?
It would be 1/5 x to the 5th. So 32 pi fifths. Then you're good. Oh, I was gonna say, how does that change? Oh, yeah, we can definitely try to work some out too. I've been not doing that part because it takes so much longer for a problem that we don't get to see as many examples. And that's what I don't like about the schedule this year. Yeah, and I really don't like that, but yes. If you're taking Calc 2, the great thing, oh, wait, oh, I need to. If you're taking Calc 2 next year, you 100% redo everything we did in Calc 1. And then that takes about trimester 1. And then trimester 2, you do the 2 new units that are in Calc 2. So I'm okay with the fact that we're kind of skipping some of this or not doing as much practice work because I know you'll get it next year. And if you're planning on taking Calc at college, I would say a majority of you are going to end up redoing Calc 1 in college. And partly due to the fact that it really makes your life a lot easier at college. Like moving away and being on your own and trying to have all difficult classes your freshman year is a lot harder than most people kind of give it credit for. And if you guys take Calc 1 next year, what usually happens is you pretty much ace the class and all of your classmates treat you like a god because then they all come to you for help. You can probably make money off that. I'll keep that on the down low. But it actually helps a lot for you to adjust to college life if you do that. And I know some of you will do really well on the AP test and go straight to Calc 2 in your college that you're going to. Oh, that's right. This class only has like 3 seniors, doesn't it? Yeah, so I'm pretty much talking to like 3 people. Did most of you sign up for Calc 2? Or did some of you do like stats instead or something like that? You're afraid to give your choice? Okay. Yeah, oh, that's right, that's CIS, yeah. Yeah, I forgot, I wasn't trying to put it down. You know, either way, you should be good next year. So small. There we go. I don't really understand why my computer changes the resolution when I mirror the screen, but it does. Yes. So disk method and washer method, to me, makes it seem like you're doing something different. You're most definitely not. So the reason they have different titles is definitely clear. On the problems we had been doing up to this point, the cross section was a solid circle. The problems that we're going to do now that refer to the washer method, we're standing in front of it. The problems that we're going to do now referring to the washer method, there's usually a gap between your shape and the axis of revolution. And when you rotate your object, that creates a hollow space in the middle. And so every one of our shapes is going to essentially be made up of 2 circles. It'd be a donut if it were 3D. So instead it's called a washer because a cross section is kind of a little flat slice, pretty much exactly what a washer is. And that's why they call it the disk method, washer method. Yeah, it's pretty accurate, but I don't necessarily like the names because it makes them feel like they're separate or they're different. So let's we won't even put equations to this. I just want to talk about what we're doing, and I think it'll be okay with it. So let's say we rotate around the x-axis. Oh, I screwed it up. Oh, bad. How does this feel wrong? There we go. Maybe speed your next one. Give you perspective, 3 dimensional. So if we rotate this sliver shaped thing, which was made of 2 different parabolas. If we rotate it around the x-axis, oh, actually, I know how I would be able to describe this. So at the Science Museum is the biggest one I know of. But at some like grocery stores and things like that, they have those machines you put the coins in, and the coins sit there and circle around forever until they get to the middle of the funnel and then they spin super fast. I'm sure you guys have all done that. That's what this would look like from the inside if this was revolved around the x-axis. The outside would look like a big bowl, but that part doesn't matter. The inside would be almost like a funnel. The main part that we should notice is that there is space between our shape and the axis of revolution. So we're going to set it up with 2 different radii. One radius will be to the outside, exactly like we had been doing. The last problems we were working on, our radius went from the axis of revolution to the outside of the object. And so that would be like this blue piece, and then we're going to subtract out the purple piece. So this is known as big R. And then the distance from the axis of revolution to the object, the hollow space, is known as little r. This is the reason I dislike Khan Academy using capital R to label the regions. They label their regions with a capital R, even in this section where the formula is a big R. And it absolutely confuses somebody. In terms of a definition, big R. I know I said it out loud, but I'll write it down in case you guys want to have it written as somewhere so that you don't forget. So big R is the length of the radius from the axis of revolution to the outside of your shape. Little r little r stops when you hit your shaded area or shape. Now, the formula we're going to use, because now if we revolve this, we're working with two separate radii, which makes two separate circles. And we're going to take the area of the big circle minus the area of the little circle. Now, if you want to write a pi in the front as a single time, you can. It's up to you on how you want to do this. I usually write the pi inside because otherwise I forget to do it with the calculator. So it's kind of personal preference. So sometimes you'll see the formula written with a pi out front. I don't want to put it, that's the same one. You'll see the pi out front and then you see big R squared minus little r squared. That's it. And it works the same no matter which orientation you're working with. The only difference between the questions is you're going to use that formula when your object sits right on the axis of revolution. You use this formula when there's a space. Does anybody want this page up there? Okay, so we'll do this one. Again, we've used this picture before. We are not rotating it around y equals 4. We're going to rotate it around the x-axis. So we're going to keep the same equations, same shape, but we're going to rotate it around the x-axis. Actually, this would be exactly like that coin thing where the coin rolls in because the hollow part would be a funnel, although not so much a funnel because it's exactly on the space. But when looking at this one, if this is my axis of revolution, my big R will be how far it is from the axis of revolution to the outside. Little r will be from the axis of revolution to my picture. Now we start getting all sorts of information. And this is why I tried to present it before. Why I very specifically tried to write the information on line. Because when you start having multiple lines, it can get confusing or mixed up. So big R, the top of big R is at a solid constant height of y equals 4. Bottom of big R will also never change. The bottom of big R is y equals 0. Sometimes it works out this way where both numbers are constant, sometimes it's not. Little r has the only location that moves up and down. The top of little r is x squared. The bottom of little r, 0. Are we okay with that info? Because let me just say out loud if you run into something that's confusing.
This is a 5.
Oh, yeah. That's not a question, that's I got this.
That's a 5.
Okay. Now this part works the same way. We're integrating from 0 to 2. And I usually mentally draw those so that they look like the radius. Big R squared, 4 minus 0, minus little r squared, which is x squared minus 0. Pointing out one of the really easy things to forget for you guys. Now, looking ahead. Let's say they made the axis of revolution down here. And y equals -4. We would have the exact same problem. But then instead of y equals 0, it'd be y equals -4. That's going to be the only difference between all the different styles. So this would be an axis of revolution not on the x and y axis. When it's on x or y axis, you have 0. I want to get rid of that so you guys don't get part of the actual problem. But open up for you to try to write an info. Are you feeling comfortable enough with that? Let's see, which one should we make this? Well, it says y-axis, let's just go with that. We definitely have the time. Why don't we say, come up with the equation and find the actual answer? I mean, you guys are going through this a lot faster than I was expecting. So I can't tell if you're understanding it or just think you're understanding it. Questions, okay. Okay, Colin, pick a number and I'll let that person know who it is. 13. Which way should I count this time? Let's go left and right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's not talk about how bad my counting was. Josh. So before we get too far, and maybe you're still writing the problem down, I don't know. Was I jumping the gun too much? So what I was hoping you could do, and you could certainly get help from people around you or me or whatever, is before everyone got too far, was for you to write the equation up on the board, like the integral, that would get the correct answer. You go for it, that's fine. If it would be easier, you could even just draw the radii instead of writing the equation. Okay. Which one is the axis of revolution? Okay, so when you're drawing the radii, your pen starts on the axis of revolution.
Okay, so instead of it being.
Yep. Yep.
Okay, so first.
Good.
Really small. Okay,
Well, it made it little. It was accurate.
and then big R goes all the way up. This side, right?
Good, good, good.
So this would be.
I think he just wanted the emotional support.
And then from there.
We were ready.
That would just be
1/2.
Oh, one half.
It's going to be
1/2
x equals 1/2 y.
Right. Oh, we get the support. I need support. Little bit.
Just make sure the emotional support team still takes their own notes.
I'm here for it.
Okay.
Oh, man, I need so much support.
You are.
Alright.
It's like an assembly line passing down the information,
That
yeah.
works. Okay, so then this.
So it's still like this.
Or is this one?
Who does?
You're definitely-
Sixth grade boys.
You are definitely the size of a sixth grade boy.
Yeah, you clench the butt, arm right here, arm right here, just kind of lean back, head way too far out.
So.
You look like a security guard.
See, sixth grade boys are awesome.
Often mistaken.
Awesome,
So that's how you-
same size.
Oh.
It happened to me when I was a sixth grade boy.
Cool.
The further back. that you
Okay.
go, you're-
Hey,
you're-
how you
you're-
doing?
Get some serious angulation.
So. Oh.
You're talking like one.
You tapped it on accident.
Oh, yeah. I hope not.
Oh, yeah.
Were you a Webley or thing?
Alright.
I was a lovely.
That
I mean,
makes sense.
It's really bad lovely.
I feel like you would have really good at it. Oh, it's on the wire.
I was one of those cool lovely.
Yeah, but like they really good.
I went off that script.
What does that say?
I told them to read.
0 to 8, okay, 0 to 8, yep.
This is
Sorry,
where it can be
sorry,
confused, so that's-
sorry,
Right.
sorry,
That's
stop.
bigger, so-
But you can have it.
But you were there to emotionally support them.
Is that in parentheses?
Yeah.
Okay.
It would
If
be
you
the
have
other
Mrs.
one.
Blah, blah, blah.
That would work.
Lucky you.
The squared would be outside the parentheses. I know you meant it that way. Yep. Yep.
Yeah. She thought I was doing it on purpose.
I was there. I was fighting.
Well, she's right.
Emotional support team.
9-0.
They're kind of ignoring him at the moment.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Alright.
We're just more of a security
Yeah.
team. We're more of a security. team.
So
Okay.
excellent job on the equation. I think I'll rewrite it.
Yeah.
I need that college. This is bad. Mine's.
It's not that it's bad.
Mine skipped all day.
It's just,
What are you doing?
it's smushed together.
Emotionally supported.
Hey.
I appreciate it. I don't want the emotional support.
Oh,
Yep, you guys did excellent job.
Josh appreciated that.
I even have the picture in my classroom with the shirt on from Hangover. This is one man wolf.
Oh, that's sick.
Wow. That's cool.
That's what I'm saying.
Like 8 years ago. One kid likes to draw a lot in class, like he was in my Greek class and he didn't do math, he just drew. And so one time when my dad was subbing, they found out I knew him. And so then they put it on the shirt. It's wolf.
Really?
Well, no, it's,
You're like big wolf.
Yeah, that's even cooler.
Oh,
that's my mom's maiden name.
that's even cooler. It's even cooler.
So that was my T-shirt with the one man wolf.
Oh, but it was spelled like that.
I thought it was pretty clever.
Yeah. Well, mine's about 8 times. 8 times. 0 over 8.
What? Oh, you're not talking about something I wrote? Okay, yes, row over 8. Let's do that, just so we're clear. You were doing a good job up here. Let's try to make it less stuff. Okay, but you did the important part. And you realized that when you were writing it, when you're going horizontally, I liked how you wrote x equals 0 over here first. Because then when you write x equals 0, then over here, it should help you realize that it has to say x equals as well. That's part of the reason I like to write the info, is it kind of helps me keep myself in check, like forgetting, there's so many little things to forget when you're doing this. So I usually try to do things that help me remember. So this would be the correct equation. I was hoping, why don't you guys take like 5 minutes, come up with the answer. Do this without calculating. Whoa, what?
Yeah, but do I know.
Without calculator?
Yeah, it's not even a bad one.
Wow.
We all have opinions about
That's true.
that.
That's true. Luckily, mine is kind of the only one that counts.
Some may say.
Some.
Yeah, there's lots of opinions, but mine agrees with the AP test. So, although I guess not, I don't know.
I fundamentally disagree with all.
Yeah.
Not you.
Everybody is absolutely entitled to their own opinions.
I appreciate that.
Hey, hey, you can fundamentally disagree with the college board, but that doesn't matter.
I saw a tweet yesterday that I thought was pretty good. So, because I follow the guy from AP on there and he posts way more than he should.
Not surprised.
Really thinks that cool.
Yeah. Actually, apparently the AP computer science one, a lot of people cheated on it and they posted that. Well,
Y'all all cheat minds in computer science test.
well, every AP computer science one, everybody has an individual test, like they're all unique, different.
Oh.
So when you share the information, they absolutely knew who it comes from.
So is one, did they tweet, they?
Yeah, okay, that's not the tweet I saw. Mine was about AP history.
Ooh, I like history.
So there was a person that said, you know, like he was consoling his son and his friends and said, I got a 2 on my AP US history test. And then it showed his timeline after that, where he got his degree in history, he got his master's in history, he got his PhD in history, and then he's a history professor at the university. So getting a lower score on the AP test doesn't mean you're bad at it. Just means you did not do well according to that test standard, which includes how fast you do it.
Right, I'm really good. I'll give this one.
Josh, pick a number.
1 to 15, right?
Yep,
So
8. Actually, Dylan, no matter which way I counted, you ended up being 8.
That's why I said that's the latest.
That's cruel. Yeah, that's cruel. I've been counting 4 different directions and you're number 8 in all of them. So, yeah, I apologize. What I'd like you to do is just start writing the work.
I got it.
Okay.
How simplified do I might be
Because like I had one answer and then,
No decimals? Is that what you're asking?
yeah, I just.
I put it in my calculator and I got it right. Like I did the work
Yep.
and then checked.
Uh-huh.
I did.
Yeah, just.
You can look at my work.
So are you simplifying first? I'm guessing it looks like?
Yeah.
Okay, go for it. Now, if you're doing the whole problem by hand, you keep writing. If you're doing the whole problem by hand, I'd actually recommend putting the pi in the front because then it's not going to feel like it confuses you in any which way. Because I know some of you, when you see the pi and you're trying to integrate it, like makes it feel harder. So if you're doing this by hand, putting the pi in the front is absolutely a good move. What's that say?
Y squared pi.
Where's the 4?
There's no words, divide by 2.
And there's no
Oh.
You wrote 2y.
Y squared.
Oh, squared it.
Oh,
No,
you already
you're-
squared it. It
you're
shouldn't.
right.
No, he's not.
This isn't.
Yes, the squared is gone. Yep.
Oh, I was like. I didn't even think about it.
Yeah, y squared over 4. Okay. So the part you need to erase is the squared. Oh, that's your integrated answer.
Yeah.
Oh, erase the integral symbol. Got it. That's where I was getting confused.
That was so smooth. Didn't even erase anything like that mattered.
Yeah.
So, okay, y squared pi minus 112 y cubed. Good. Yeah, yep. So 64 pi minus, oh god. So 8 times 8. What is that, 126?
128.
Okay, sounds good. I'll take your word for it.
Okay.
Oh, and that's where you're asking how simplified do you want it? Got it. That's a good question. You don't have to do that on the AP test. On the free response questions, you can leave your answer as 64 pi minus 128 pi thirds.
It was higher than that, I simplified it down.
Yeah, you don't have to simplify a fraction at all. So if all you're doing is numeric simplification, you don't have to. They will accept whatever answer. It doesn't have to be simplified. As long as your answer is correct, that's really all they're looking for. So there would be nothing wrong with this. On multiple choice, I can almost guarantee that they would combine the fractions and simplify it further. I don't know why they have that distinction, but you seemingly do all the time. Multiple choice sometimes is more work than the free response. But no, that looks good. How about anybody? Did anybody have any questions on what's up there? It's relatively legible. You guys aren't you guys aren't used to writing on smartboards, so I'm not like making fun of it.
No, that's all I'm
It's worse on here.
Yeah, it's a lot worse.
Like,
I take my time in this.
like it doesn't offend me when you can't read my writing either. Like writing on smartboards is different than paper. So
Nice. Is that your name?
I didn't write any, which,
Stuff on the board.
oh, yeah.
Yeah, let's see.
Who else would it be?
Beautiful calligraphy.
No.
Not calligraphy, but hey,
Hey, you know what?
but the marker is chiseled, so it gives the calligraphy appearance.
I think it's calligraphy.
Sure.
Calligraphy. Everyone's a tough there.
Do you guys probably want me to put another one up that might be probably as hard as possible?
Yes.
Okay,
As hard as possible. Make it impossible to solve mental math.
well, does anybody know what would make it slightly harder? Because this question alone had almost everything possible that you would have to do. You had to change equations from y equals to x equals. You have two different radii. Yeah, it's what you rotate around. So if you rotate it around not X or Y axis, then automatically there's going to be more information. So like instead of having the -0, which usually works great, you're going to have a number there. And so if you have to square it, that works out badly. So the washer method being rotated around a non-axis, usually you don't have to do them by hand because they work out terribly. So let's find one. That's not it. Oh, that's not even in this set of notes. Well, let's just take this same problem.
No.
Yeah. Wait, both are one.
Let's
Let's just leave it as it is.
x equals 2.
I take it back.
So it's being rotated horizontally because the axis of revolution is vertical. It is a teardrop shape. You guys can learn this for when you go to prison and need to get some tattoos to look tougher. I don't know if they will count it if you start giving them equations to use for your tattoo, but hey, who knows?
Imagine how many times you get beat up.
Okay.
I'm sorry, what were we talking about? No, but it's different. Because we're working on X equals 2. Oh, silly goose.
Oh, so just come up with the equation that would get you the correct answer. And then see if you can come up with the exact answer from your calculator. You don't do it by hand. It won't work out. Well, I better actually come up with the answer too. Since I made up the problem, I better come up with an answer. We'll see if this works out traditionally like I screw up when I make a problem up. Isn't it strange how different it feels?
Anyone else feel like a really long decimal?
Oh, possible. I made it up, so it might not work out at all.
A bunch of things that it doesn't simplify to a fraction. We are a cube root x. The cube root y and then one squared to the y. Yeah, it's just the right one.
Oh, calculator's thinking a long time. That's usually not a great sign. It might be a fraction when you're done, but mine doesn't come up with a fraction. So since you can't get an exact answer, then round to 3 decimal places as accurate as you can. I didn't even think of it because as soon as you got a cube root, then it's not going to work out great. Although it's cube root of 1, so that shouldn't be bad. Oh, cube root of 2. No, it's 1.
Yeah.
Oh, it's when you have to
I
foil.
don't know.
The foiling would screwed up.
Just do it to PowerPoint.
There's a cube root button.
Yeah, I don't know where it is.
Hit math.
Alpha F2 and then 6. Oh, you're, thank you.
On the TI 89, they don't have a cube root button though, so you always have to do like 1/3 power.
They got light up.
Yeah, they don't have a log button either.
Why did they make it work?
So the TI 89 is intended for Caltech.
I'm doing all that.
So they don't have. No, because by the time you get to the T89, you're supposed to start to use it.
Right, but it should also be for like dumb people to cheat on stuff.
Well, then you buy the gun calculator.
Oh.
Cheaper. No, they're the same price.
Yeah. Why not have this one?
Texas, that's like the 3rd model down.
Great, but it
So
sounds
there-
like there's nothing worse about it.
Above that one is the T89. Above that one is the Inspire CA.
Does that one still have a light?
Yeah.
Oh, well, then I'm gonna get it in.
I have a classroom set up, and we're just running a class. This one is probably teaching in there.
Well,
It's just, it's their newer calculator, but they're all the same price, which is kind of weird.
that is strange. Really no dummies like us will fall for it and buy this one instead. Or more.
Where are you gonna buy a blue textbook and everything for every class in college that all costs $20? So they don't bat an eye because of the. Did I screw up somewhere?
No, I think I get confused. I got the right answer. But
No.
it's X equals 2 and I tried to do X, but it's like parallel to X, and 2, but that's not X.
Would it help if I drew the R's?
I get it now.
Yeah, go for it.
So I had like for your radius there, I put y² - 2 and I still got the same answer. And I did that for the underwood, I did the cube root of y minus 2 also.
Yeah, because when you FOIL, it
Oh, okay, so
would have kind of like canceled out your errors. So it would have been marked wrong on the free response part, like your equation would have been marked wrong. But if you still get the correct answer, you still get credit.
I'm almost like, cool.
Now, I'm also obviously not expecting you to just like do a lot of this in your head. If you can, that's great, but like, don't sort of.
Or else they depressed.
Yeah, me too, though, but
Okay, well, we didn't go to college for it, did we?
I like how you guys seem to think a teacher is supposed to be smarter.
I mean,
You are
yeah,
smarter
we're
than us.
teaching it.
That doesn't mean I'm smarter.
You actually got us now.
I hate to tell you, when you get to college, all of your other classmates are who you're competing against, so it's like you can treat them as friends and things, but they're all going for the same jobs you are, so.
They read too much over there.
So you hate everyone.
No, that definitely wasn't where I was going.
Academic.
Please don't listen.
No, no, I meant murder.
Don't live up to rule here, like, you know, like,
Still wound.
I'd love to live up to group.
does somebody want me to go over anything from the equation that's written there? Because I happily will. Did you, how many people got this on their own?
Not the equation, the answer.
I had the equation.
It was like the.
Did a lot of you have these reversed?
Yeah, it makes sense now why. it's-
Okay.
I just, it was like-
Just seemed right?
Yeah,
Just maybe because you were used to doing the equation first minus the number?
yeah.
Oh. It's always right minus left, top minus bottom. And then it won't matter if the top or bottom or right or left is static, solid, or variable with an equation. I'm not sure how I feel about that. Honestly, I shouldn't feel that bad about it. If even if your equation was close, I'll consider that a win, because we're kind of 2 days ahead of schedule, to be honest. So this problem right here is next Wednesday.
Wait, what?
Whoa.
Yeah.
So our test is tomorrow.
But we have like
Yeah,
a.
yeah, so your test is tomorrow. Yep, good luck.
What about our review day?
Sweet.
This is today's review. We're reviewing right now.
Next way to end.
Good luck. So
So we're gonna have like a week. to do-
this is why I've been very hesitant asking you how it's been going, because we're going through this pretty fast. Like this was intended to be day 3, day 4, day 5. And last trimester, it was also day 6. We did it in 2 days. We did it twice as fast as expected, and that's why so I'm not, I'd say that's pretty good if you were able to even just have a close equation for right now, because you'll learn your mistakes. And or you're going to find out what things maybe you're having trouble with once you're doing the homework. So maybe a better use of time. As you're doing your homework, to be honest, you can go all the way to the end. You should be able to finish unit 8 now. As you're going through your homework, do you guys know how to do the screenshots on the Chromebooks?
I sure did. I was like,
I believe it's control, and then the above 6 is a little weird little window button.
Pretty sure that's it.
It's like a rectangle with lines. So if you take a screenshot, what you guys should do, take screenshots of the questions you just really don't get, and you're having a lot of trouble with, and we can do those together when I come back on Wednesday.
That's smart.
And the screenshot usually works easiest because you're already on it. What?
Oh, and then you just don't finish the problem. You can get it right. Oh, but then you restart.
Yeah, I mean, like,
I've been in this class.
you theoretically could, but I'm gonna guess it would time out somehow or way.
No.
You can reopen it, and it goes to the exact same problem.
Yeah.
Does it stay open like multiple days? later?
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
Try to go to the test.
What if I can picture my phone with my phone? What about you Tuesday, Karen?
You guys are putting way too much thought into this because it's not even that important.
What about you?
Still could. I mean, I don't know, why you want to, but you could.
You took leads.
That's what screenshots are for.
I don't trust you.
That's right.
Actually, the one that I got on Monica.
What? These two?
Monday of Wednesday?
Bill Gates.
Monday and Tuesday.
Oh, wow.
I'm not coming back to Wednesday.
Then when is Wednesday?
No, we just did Wednesday right now.
Yeah, we actually just did it.
So 3 more days? Or party day?
Wait, are you talking about tomorrow?
No, he's talking about the.
Next Wednesday?
Yeah, next Wednesday.
Oh, that's what I was trying to say with the screenshots.
Oh, then we'll
Take
go-
screenshots of the ones you guys are having trouble with, and then we'll just do them together on Wednesday.
So it's basically a 2-year homework day.
And I'll gladly even reteach something if, like, say you start doing the questions, and they're just not clicking, I'll gladly reteach something or other too. We've got time for it, because next Thursday would be the review for the chapter.
What?
And then you take the test next Friday. I could even take your guys' gauge on it by then. If you feel like it's going really well by the time I come back on Wednesday, we could make Wednesday our review day and just take the test Thursday, so you don't have to do it on Friday. I'll just ask you guys how you want to do it.
Wait, is next Friday not a flex day? We find the class?
You wouldn't come in.
Oh, we just do it online.
So would we print, wait, so is the test gonna be paper though?
Well, it's set up for paper right now, but that's why I was saying, if it works and you want to take it on a Thursday, like we can change the schedule around.
That's a very.
No way. I cannot believe that for a second.
All right. Okay, I'll stop the recording.
They caught all that.